The water looks still. It looks empty. It looks safe. But beneath that surface, something is always watching. In rivers choked with silt where visibility drops to nothing. In coral reefs where color and beauty hide the sharpest teeth on the planet. In the open ocean, where darkness swallows everything below a certain depth, and in frozen channels where creatures have evolved over millions of years into something that defies imagination. These are not monsters of legend. They are real. They are alive. And in their world, you are always the smaller thing. Today we descend into the most dangerous waters on Earth. We enter the domain of the most feared, most deadly, and most relentless fish that have ever existed. Some hunt with speed so explosive, it registers as a blur. Others ambush with a patience so absolute, they become part of the landscape itself. And some carry weapons so devastating that a single encounter can end a life in seconds. Before we go deeper, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Because from this moment on, we are entering a world where the water itself becomes the danger. In the slow, murky rivers of Central and South America, where the water is warm and the current barely moves, lives a creature that has terrified entire civilizations for thousands of years. It does not chase recklessly. It does not waste energy. It waits. And when it strikes together. This is the piranha. Few animals on Earth have earned a reputation quite like this one. And while many of the most extreme stories surrounding them are exaggerated, the reality is still extraordinary. Piranhas live in large schools that can number in the hundreds. They communicate through vibrations in the water. They coordinate. And when food is scarce, or when blood enters the water, what follows is one of the most intense feeding events in the natural world. The red-bellied piranha is the most well-known of nearly 30 species. Its jaws are equipped with interlocking triangular teeth, so sharp they can slice through flesh and bone with a single bite. The power behind each snap ranks among the highest bite forces of any freshwater fish on the planet, relative to body size. Most of the year, piranhas feed calmly on fish, seeds, and insects. But during the dry season, when water levels drop and prey becomes concentrated, their behavior shifts. Competition intensifies, aggression rises, schools tighten. And any animal that wanders too close to a feeding group experiences something that leaves almost nothing behind. In rivers where piranhas are abundant, local populations have learned to read the water. A sudden stillness, a ripple where there should be none, the surface breaking in short, violent bursts. These are signs that something below has already decided what happens next. In these waters, hesitation is the most dangerous thing of all. Beneath the surface of warm tropical reefs, where sunlight filters through the water in shifting golden beams, the ocean looks like paradise. Colors everywhere, movement in every direction, life layered over life. But in the crevices of those same reefs, wedged into the rock like a living trap, something old and ruthless sits perfectly still. This is the moray eel. Growing up to 3 meters in length, the moray eel is one of the most formidable ambush predators in the ocean. Its long, muscular body is built for one purpose: to disappear into tight spaces and emerge without warning. It does not chase. It does not patrol. It waits with extraordinary patience inside the reef, only its head visible, its jaws opening and closing slowly. This is not aggression. It is how they breathe. But the effect is unmistakable. Nothing about a moray eel looks welcoming. What makes this animal truly dangerous is its bite mechanism. Most fish have one set of jaws. The moray has two. The first set captures the prey. The second, located further back in the throat, moves forward at the moment of the bite to grip and pull inward. There is no releasing. There is no pulling free. Once those jaws close, the only direction is inward. Their teeth curve backward, reinforcing this design. And unlike most predators that bite and retreat, the moray locks on and holds, thrashing powerfully until its prey stops moving. In the tight corridors of a reef where there is nowhere to swim, this strategy is devastatingly effective. Divers who have reached carelessly into reef crevices know the consequence. Encounters are rarely fatal, but they are severe, and they are remembered. In the coral world, beauty and danger share the same walls. In the open waters of the Indo-Pacific, where the ocean stretches endlessly in every direction, and the reef gives way to deeper blue, a different kind of predator moves with terrifying efficiency. It does not hide. It does not ambush from a crevice. It moves in the open water like it owns every meter of it. This is the barracuda. Sleek, silver, and built like a torpedo, the great barracuda can exceed 2 meters in length. Its body is pure speed, long, narrow, and muscular, designed for explosive, short-range acceleration that leaves almost no reaction time for anything in its path. When it accelerates, it does so in fractions of a second. One moment, it is still. The next, it has already struck. Its jaws are lined with 2 types of teeth, working in perfect combination. Large fang-like teeth grip and hold. Smaller razor-edged teeth behind them cut. Together, they function like a trap with blades. Prey that enters that space does not leave it intact. Barracudas are attracted to movement and to anything that reflects light. This is relevant. In clear, shallow coastal water, a silver bracelet, a diving watch, or a piece of shiny equipment can trigger an investigation that turns into something much more immediate. They are not hunting humans deliberately, but their decision-making happens at speed, and speed leaves no room for mistakes. In some coastal regions, schools of hundreds of great barracuda move together in slow, circling formations just below the surface. Seen from above, it looks almost calm. Seen from inside the water, surrounded by those pale, sharp-eyed shapes moving in coordinated silence, it is something else entirely. Deeper now, past the reef line, past the shelf where sunlight still reaches the bottom, down into the transitional zone where the water cools and the pressure begins to build. This is not a place most animals choose to inhabit, but one fish does not simply inhabit it. One fish rules it. This is the Goliath grouper, the largest member of the grouper family. The Goliath grouper can exceed 2.5 meters in length and weigh over 400 kilograms. Its body is thick and powerful, covered in mottled brown and olive patterns that blend with rock, coral rubble, and the dark floors of shipwrecks. It moves slowly. It breathes slowly. It does everything slowly. Because when you are that large, speed is rarely necessary. The Goliath grouper hunts through suction. Its mouth, which can open to an extraordinary width, creates a pressure vacuum when it strikes. Fish, crustaceans, even small sharks that come within range are pulled in before they register what is happening. The strike itself is not a lunge. It is more like a disappearance. The prey is simply there one moment and gone the next. These animals are deeply territorial. They return to the same caves, the same ledges, the same wrecks for years. Some individuals are known to have occupied a single reef structure for decades. Divers who enter these spaces are entering claimed territory. The grouper will often approach, circling slowly, positioning itself between the intruder and the exit. This is not curiosity. It is assessment. Attacks on humans are rare but documented, and in the confined space of an underwater cave or the hull of a sunken ship. A 400-kilogram fish that has decided something does not belong is not a situation that resolves easily. Far from the coasts now, into open water. The kind of water that stretches in every direction, with nothing above but surface, and nothing below but depth. This is where the ocean shows its most honest face. No shelter, no structure, no cover. Just water, current, and whatever moves through it. And moving through it right now, with complete and unhurried authority, is the bull shark. Of all the sharks in the ocean, the bull shark is the one that demands the most respect. Not because it is the largest, not because it is the fastest, but because of where it goes and what it is capable of. The bull shark is one of the only sharks on Earth that can survive in fresh water. It tolerates the transition between salt and fresh water, with physiological adaptations that no other large predator shares. This means it does not stay in the open ocean. It enters rivers. It swims upstream. It has been found thousands of kilometers inland, in river systems far from any coast: the Ganges, the Amazon, the Zambezi, the Mississippi. Bull sharks have been documented in all of them. This matters because it changes everything about the threat calculation. Every other large shark in the ocean stays in the ocean. The bull shark does not accept that boundary. It goes where the prey goes. And where the prey goes, humans are often nearby. Its hunting style is aggressive and direct. It does not circle patiently for extended periods. It approaches, it bumps, it tests, and if what it finds does not retreat immediately, it commits. The bite is powerful, the grip is relentless, and the body behind it is thick and muscular in a way that allows it to drive forward with force that larger, more elegant sharks cannot match. In river communities along major waterways in Africa, South Asia, and South America, the bull shark is not a distant threat. It is a present one. It enters the shallows at dusk. It follows the sounds of activity near the water's edge. It has learned, over millions of years of evolution, that the boundary between land and water is not a boundary at all. It is simply where the meal sometimes stands. If you ever find yourself in murky river water in tropical regions, especially at dawn or dusk, know this: the clearest water in the world cannot help you see something that has spent its entire existence learning to be invisible in the dark. Now we return to the rivers. Not the deep channels of the Amazon or the wide systems of Africa, but the shallower, faster-moving waters of South America, where the riverbanks press close and the canopy overhead filters the light into something green and ancient. Here, one of the most unusual weapons in the natural world has been quietly perfected over millions of years. This is the electric eel. It is not technically an eel. It is a knife fish, distantly related to catfish and carp. But what it carries inside its body places it in a category entirely its own. Up to 80% of the electric eel's body is composed of specialized cells called electrocytes. These cells function like biological batteries, stacking their voltage the way batteries in a series stack power. The result is a discharge that can exceed 800 volts. To put that in context, a standard electrical outlet produces 110 to 220 volts, depending on the country. The electric eel can produce nearly 4 times the higher end of that range. And unlike a wall socket, it can do this repeatedly. It uses this ability in 3 ways. At low power, it sends out pulses to navigate through murky water, reading the distortions in its electric field to detect objects nearby. At medium power, it communicates with other electric eels. And at full power, it hunts, or defends, or both. When threatened or when prey is within range, the electric eel can release a high-voltage burst that stuns fish instantly, causes involuntary muscle contractions in larger animals, and can knock a human being completely unconscious in water. Drowning following an electric eel encounter is a documented cause of death in Amazonian communities. The shock itself rarely kills directly. The incapacitation it causes when the victim is already underwater is what finishes the event. In shallow water, the danger is compounded. Electric eels often leap partially out of the water when cornered, pressing their electrogenic chins against a threat and discharging directly at close range, where the voltage transfers most efficiently into living tissue. This behavior, documented only recently by researchers, means that even an animal trying to escape the water is not escaping the threat. In the river communities of the Amazon basin, children are taught from a very young age. If you see something dark and thick and slow-moving in shallow water, you do not touch it. You do not approach it. You leave the water immediately. This is not superstition. This is the correct response. Moving now through warmer water. The shallow coastal zones of the Indo-Pacific, where the seafloor is sandy and warm, and the water is clear enough to see your feet. This is where tourists wade, where children swim, where the ocean feels most like a welcoming place. And lying on the sandy bottom, almost completely invisible, is the stonefish. The stonefish is the most venomous fish on Earth. It is also one of the most perfectly camouflaged animals in the natural world. Its body is covered in irregular growths, textures, and coloration that match marine rock and coral rubble with such accuracy that even experienced divers have stepped directly onto one without realizing it was there until the venom had already entered their foot. It does not move. It does not flee. It sits, motionless, for hours or days, waiting for small fish to pass within striking distance. When they do, the strike is the fastest in the animal kingdom for its size, faster than the human eye can track. The prey simply vanishes into a mouth that was, a fraction of a second ago, invisible stone. The dorsal spines are the danger to humans. 13 of them, each connected to a venom gland. When pressure is applied, as when a foot presses down onto the fish, the spines penetrate upward, and the venom is driven into the wound by the force of the contact itself. The pain that follows is described by every person who has survived a stonefish sting the same way. Immediate, total, and unlike anything else they have ever experienced. It has been described as the worst pain a human being can feel while still remaining conscious. Without antivenom, the venom attacks the cardiovascular system, causes tissue death, and can be fatal. In remote coastal areas without medical facilities, stonefish stings have killed people who simply went for a walk along the shore. In shallow reef areas across Australia, Southeast Asia, and the Pacific Islands, it remains a genuine and ongoing threat to anyone who enters the water without looking carefully at every surface beneath their feet. In the water, the most dangerous things are often the ones you cannot see. Back into deeper water now, past the visible reef, into the blue water column, where the ocean opens up in 3 dimensions, and the rules change completely. Here, speed is everything. Camouflage is less useful when there is nothing to hide behind. Here, the predators that survive are the ones that evolved for pure, overwhelming velocity. This is the sailfish, the fastest fish in the ocean, capable of reaching speeds exceeding 110 kilometers per hour in short bursts. The sailfish is a weapon built entirely around one principle. Nothing escapes what it cannot see coming. Its body is a blade, long, narrow, hydrodynamic to a degree that seems excessive until you see it in motion. Its bill, a long, sharp extension of its upper jaw, is not used for impaling prey directly. It is used for slashing through dense schools of smaller fish at full speed, stunning and wounding dozens in a single pass before the sailfish circles back to collect what cannot swim away. When a group of sailfish coordinates a hunt, the effect is extraordinary. They work together, driving schools of sardines or anchovies toward the surface, where the fish have nowhere to go. Then they take turns. One after another, each sailfish accelerates through the compressed school, its sail lowered for speed, its bill cutting through the mass of bodies. The water turns silver and red. The school tightens, collapses, fractures, and what was a coordinated group of thousands becomes a scattered, panicked collection of individuals, each one trying to survive what is hitting them from every direction at over 100 kilometers per hour. They do not hunt humans. They are not a threat to human life in any meaningful way. But standing in the water when a sailfish hunt reaches full speed is something that rewrites a person's understanding of what the ocean is capable of. Speed at that scale, in a medium as dense as water, is a different kind of force entirely. It is impact. It is shockwave. It is the feeling that the ocean itself is accelerating toward you. Now we go to one of the strangest environments water can create. Not the open ocean, not the calm river. The deep, pitch-black water of the abyss, where light has never reached, where pressure would crush any surface animal instantly, and where evolution has produced creatures so adapted to extreme conditions that they look like the product of imagination rather than natural selection. This is the world of the fang-tooth fish. One of the deepest living fish ever discovered, the fang-tooth inhabits depths of up to 5,000 meters. At those pressures, at that darkness, survival requires a different set of rules. You cannot chase prey efficiently. You cannot cover territory. Every movement costs energy that cannot be replaced easily. So the fang-tooth evolved the opposite strategy. It does not chase, it collides. The fang-tooth has the largest teeth of any fish in the ocean relative to body size. Its lower canine teeth are so large that the fish cannot fully close its mouth. The upper jaw has two deep sockets on each side, specifically to accommodate the lower teeth when the mouth closes, preventing them from piercing the fish's own brain. The teeth curve inward at angles that mean anything that enters the mouth has almost no mechanical path out of it. In the total darkness of the deep ocean, the fang-tooth drifts through the water column. When anything makes contact with it, those jaws close. The result is immediate and final. Small fish, crustaceans, squid, anything that bumps into this animal in the dark becomes its meal. This is not a predator that stalks or plans. It is a predator that became a trap. The deep ocean is full of creatures that took this direction. Animals that sacrificed speed, color, and complexity for pure, passive, unavoidable lethality. The fang-tooth is perhaps the most extreme example. An animal that is, in the truest sense, almost entirely made of teeth. In the warm shallows of the Indo-Pacific and the Atlantic coastal zones, where seagrass beds give way to sandy flats and the water is calm and warm, lives an animal that most people would never suspect of being dangerous. It lies on the seafloor. It moves slowly and deliberately. It looks almost prehistoric, like something left over from a time when the ocean was younger. This is the giant freshwater stingray, and its saltwater relatives, the largest rays in the world, found in river and coastal systems. But the one that demands the most attention is the short-tailed stingray, one of the largest and most powerful stingrays on Earth. Its tail carries a serrated, venomous spine that can exceed 30 centimeters in length. Unlike the stonefish, which is a passive threat activated by accidental contact, the stingray defends actively and deliberately. When a threat approaches from above, the tail whips upward with force that can drive the spine through wetsuits, through rubber-soled boots, and through the walls of the chest cavity itself. The venom is potent. The wound it creates is severe. But it is the physical trauma of the strike itself that makes a direct hit to the torso or neck potentially fatal. The spine is barbed. Removing it causes further damage, and the location of the wound determines the outcome more than almost any other factor. In shallow coastal and river environments, particularly in areas where rays congregate in warm water, humans and stingrays occupy the same space with regularity. Most encounters cause no harm because the ray detects the vibration of approaching feet and moves away before contact. The risk rises when a ray is resting and is stepped on directly without warning, or when an animal feels cornered and responds to a nearby threat with the full power of its tail. The shuffle, sliding your feet along the bottom rather than stepping, is the technique coastal communities have used for generations. It sends vibrations ahead of your body, warning the ray before your foot ever reaches it. In waters where stingrays are abundant, this is not optional knowledge. It is survival habit. Now the salt water, open coast, the long stretches of temperate ocean where cold and warm currents meet, where seal colonies gather on rocky outcrops, and where the water is deep enough just offshore to hide something very large moving upward at full speed. This is the great white shark. Everything about the great white shark exists at maximum scale. Its body can exceed 6 meters in length and weigh more than 2,000 kilograms. Its jaws contain rows of serrated triangular teeth that are replaced continuously throughout its life. Its sensory systems are among the most refined of any predator on Earth. Electroreceptors detect the faint electrical fields generated by the beating hearts of animals buried beneath sand. A lateral line system reads pressure changes in the water from meters away. Eyes that can shift to detect both surface brightness and deep shadow. And a sense of smell capable of detecting a single part of blood per million parts of water across distances that reach into the hundreds of meters. It hunts primarily from below. Rising through the water column at speed, it strikes from beneath before the prey at the surface has any awareness of what is approaching. The force of the impact often launches both predator and prey into the air in a dramatic eruption of white water. The initial strike is usually intended to disable rather than consume immediately. The shark retreats. It waits, then returns when the prey can no longer defend itself. This is not cruelty. This is efficiency. A seal at full health can injure a shark's eyes or gills during a prolonged struggle. The method minimizes that risk. One decisive strike, one period of patience, one return. Attacks on humans are rare, and in most cases are believed to involve mistaken identity. A surfer viewed from below, silhouetted against the light, creates a profile that can resemble a seal in ways that are obvious once you have seen the comparison from the right angle. The shark is not targeting humans. It is targeting the shape that its evolution has trained it to recognize as prey. But the power behind even an investigative bite is not calibrated for investigation. It is calibrated for the animals it actually hunts. The consequences of that mismatch are severe. In waters known for great white activity, near seal colonies, near river mouths where sea lions congregate, near the seal rookeries of South Africa and Australia and California's Farallon Islands, this animal is not a distant possibility. It is a present and entirely capable reality. The ocean belongs to it in a way that belongs to nothing else swimming at the surface. We go deeper again, not into the open water column, down to the bottom. The deep, cold, lightless structures of the ocean floor, where hydrothermal vents glow in the dark, and the pressure is enough to compress air to a fraction of its volume. Down where the water is not a medium for swimming, but a medium for enduring. Here lives the viper fish, one of the strangest animals in any ocean. The viper fish inhabits depths between 200 and 5,000 meters, rising toward shallower water at night to feed before descending again before dawn. Its body is small, rarely exceeding 30 centimeters, but its teeth, like the fangtooths, are wildly disproportionate to its frame. The fang-like teeth extend so far beyond the jaw that they form a cage around the outside of the closed mouth. When the viperfish opens its jaws, the lower jaw drops dramatically below the head, expanding the strike zone to many times the size its closed profile would suggest. It has a photophore along its dorsal fin, a light-producing organ. In the absolute darkness of the deep ocean, this light is used as a lure. Small fish and crustaceans, drawn to the only light source in their entire visible universe, approach. The viperfish, which has been still and invisible against the dark water, is already positioned. The moment the prey reaches the right distance, the jaws extend downward, the teeth cage closes, and whatever came toward the light does not go back. The deep ocean is full of this logic. Find a vulnerability, build the body around exploiting it. In the dark, where prey cannot see the predator until they are already inside the trap, light becomes the most dangerous thing in the world. Something glowing in the abyss is never simply glowing. It is always waiting. In the warm shallows once more. Coastal Africa. The slow rivers that feed into the Indian Ocean and the Atlantic, the river systems of West Africa and the Congo Basin. In these waters lives a fish that may be less famous than the piranha or the great white, but that local communities along these rivers regard with a respect that borders on terror. This is the Goliath tigerfish. We have seen its name before, in other contexts, but in its own rivers, it needs no context. It simply needs to be seen. The Goliath tigerfish is the largest member of the tigerfish family, growing over 1.5 meters in length and weighing more than 50 kilograms. Its body is muscular, in a way that suggests pure mechanical power rather than grace. And its teeth, 32 of them arranged in the upper and lower jaw, are not simply sharp. They are long, straight, and perfectly aligned, locking together when the mouth closes like the mechanism of a precision instrument designed for one purpose only. It lives in the Congo River system, one of the fastest and most powerful river systems on Earth. The current here is not calm. It is a force. And the Goliath tigerfish does not fight the current. It lives inside it. Its body is adapted to these conditions in ways that give it a speed and control in fast water that almost nothing else can match. It hunts other fish, including other large predators. It has been documented attacking and consuming fish that most predators would avoid. It is an apex predator in a river system that has no shortage of dangerous things, and it occupies the top of that hierarchy, not through size alone, but through pure, relentless aggression and precision. Local fishermen along the Congo regard the Goliath tigerfish the way fishermen in other parts of the world regard large crocodilians, with total seriousness, with clear distance, and with the understanding that in that water, on that river, they are not the most dangerous thing present. We have traveled far, through warm shallows and deep trenches, through rivers and open ocean, through reefs and murky channels, and in every environment we entered, something was already there. Something that had arrived long before us, and had spent millions of years perfecting its place in that world. The fish of this planet are not visitors to the water. They are the water's original inhabitants. They existed before the continents assumed their current shapes. They evolved through extinction events that erased most of life on Earth. and emerged on the other side, refined and sharper than before. What we have seen today is not a collection of threats. It is a portrait of what patience, adaptation, and time can build when the stakes are survival and the environment demands nothing less than perfection. Every predator we encountered exists because everything weaker than it failed to survive. The piranhas and the Goliath tigerfish, the electric eel and the stonefish, the great white and the fangtooth from the abyss. They are not cruel. They are not evil. They are the result of an unbroken chain of survival, going back to the first time life entered the water and had to decide whether to eat or be eaten. The ocean and the rivers of this world remain the most complex and least understood environments on Earth. We have mapped more of the surface of Mars than we have mapped of our own ocean floor. In the spaces we have not yet seen, there are almost certainly things we have not yet imagined. Living at pressures we cannot survive, in temperatures that would shut down any warm-blooded system, in darkness so complete that light itself would be an intrusion. And in that darkness, something is doing exactly what it has always done. Waiting, sensing, holding completely still until the right moment arrives. Because in water, the most dangerous predator is always the one you never saw coming. If this journey through the most dangerous waters on Earth stayed with you, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support makes it possible to keep going deeper into wilder places and stranger creatures than you have ever seen. The next documentary is already waiting, and the creatures inside it make everything you just witnessed look calm.